Welcome to the deep dive. Picture this for a moment. It's 2025, you're waking up, and your home isn't just a place you live. It's kind of a silent, intuitive partner. Your coffee's brewing just as your alarm goes off, blinds gently open, the thermostat adjusts to your perfect morning temperature.
Right.
Your smart speaker plays your favorite playlist, and maybe a quiet buzz on your phone lets you know that package just arrived safely. This isn't some, far-off sci-fi dream anymore.
Not all.
This is the reality of a smart home right now. It's where technology isn't just present, it's actively, intelligently working for you.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how quickly smart homes have moved from being, well, luxury gadgets to being almost as essential as reliable Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that essential part is key.
Definitely.
Yeah.
They represent a fundamental shift towards what we call intelligent convenience. The real revolution here is how they offload so much of our daily mental checklist, freeing up our focus.
Right.
And beyond that, it's about tangible benefits. Significant energy savings, enhanced security for peace of mind, and just, streamlining everyday life.
So our mission for this deep dive is to truly understand what makes these intelligent spaces tick. But we're also going to broaden our view quite a bit.
Okay.
We'll explore the profound impact of robotics in healthcare, transforming how we diagnose, treat, and care for people in ways that are surprisingly maybe more human.
Interesting angle.
And then we'll dive into the mind-bending potential of quantum computing, a technology that doesn't just calculate faster, but fundamentally redefines what's possible, tackling problems that simply, defy classical logic.
Right, a different way of thinking entirely.
Exactly. We want to demystify it all, showing you how these diverse technologies are not just accessible, but increasingly indispensable for our future.
Sounds like a plan.
So let's start with that intuitive living space, the smart home. What exactly is a smart home, fundamentally? What's driving all this connectivity?
Well, at its core, a smart home is really a residence woven together by a network of interconnected devices. Think of it as a digital ecosystem,
Okay.
where everything from your lights to your refrigerator communicates, mostly via the Internet of Things, or IoT.
Right, IoT. We hear that term a lot.
We do, and it isn't some abstract concept. It's essentially an invisible network.
Yeah.
It equips everyday objects with sensors, software, and internet connectivity.
Got it.
This allows them to collect and swap data, creating this unified, responsive environment. So we're talking lights, thermostats, door locks, security cameras, even big appliances like your fridge or washing machine.
And how do we actually interact with all these connected devices? Is it complicated?
Not really. That's where the convenience part really shines. You gain incredible flexibility and control. You can manage devices remotely through smartphone apps from literally anywhere.
The coffee shop, maybe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you can use simple voice commands to a smart assistant like Alexa or Google Assistant. And maybe most powerfully, you can set up automated routines. These trigger actions based on your habits, the time of day, or even if you're home or not.
Right.
Imagine locking your front door from your phone while you're grabbing coffee, like you said, or your smart thermostat pre-adjusting the temperature so your home is perfectly comfortable the moment you walk in. It adapts to your life.
That adaptability really is key, isn't it? It means smart homes aren't just for the, super tech savvy anymore.
Absolutely.
They cater to incredibly diverse needs. A busy parent keeping an eye on things, a renter maybe focused on saving on bills, or, yes, the tech enthusiast.
Right.
It seems the real shift here isn't just automation, but a home that proactively anticipates your needs, becoming this sort of silent, personalized assistant. It extends your mental capacity, really.
Well put.
It's about streamlining daily life, boosting safety, making things more efficient, without needing to turn your house into, like, a spaceship from a movie.
Exactly. It's about practical, everyday improvements that resonate across different lifestyles, not just flashy novelty.
So let's maybe peel back the layers and look at the actual building blocks, the tech that makes this intelligence possible. They're designed to work together, right? Seamlessly.
They are, yeah. They operate as a system. First up, you've got the smart assistants.
The brains of the operation.
Kind of, yeah. Think of them as the intuitive orchestrator, the conductor of your smart home. You know the names. Amazon's Alexa, Google Assistant, Apple Siri.
Sure.
Their main role is to be your central control hub. They listen to your voice commands, manage your other devices, give you information.
Okay.
What makes them so powerful is the AI underneath, which learns your routines. If you always tweak the AC around 6 p.m., it might eventually ask, hey, it's almost 6, so want me to adjust the AC? It starts to anticipate.
That's smart.
And it's common. Over 60% of U.S. households were using a smart assistant back in 2025. Shows you how ingrained they've become.
Yeah, that adoption rate is huge.
Switchy.
So from the brain, let's talk lighting. Is smart lighting just about fun colors, or is there more to it?
Oh, much deeper. Beyond controlling brightness and color for mood, which is fun, systems like Philips Hue offer real practical benefits.
Like what?
Well, they integrate with entertainment lights pulsing with music, matching movie scenes for a more immersive feel.
Cool.
But more importantly, they're incredibly energy efficient.
Huh.
Mostly LEDs, right? An International Energy Agency report in 2025 suggested smart lighting could cut household energy use by up to 20%.
20%.
Yeah. Plus, features like motion sensors and scheduling mean lights are only on when needed. And these LEDs last forever, like 15, 25 years. Less hassle, less waste.
20% savings and less bulb changing. That's pretty compelling. Which brings us to another big energy saver. Smart thermostats. How are things like Google Nest or Ecobee changing the game?
They're absolute game changers because they learn. These thermostats use algorithms to figure out your preferences, your daily schedules. Then they automatically adjust heating and cooling with real precision.
So adaptive comfort.
Exactly. Your home warms or cools before you arrive, so it's perfect the moment you step inside.
Yeah.
And the savings are substantial. The U.S. Department of Energy estimated 10–15% annual savings on heating and cooling bills.
That's hundreds of dollars for a lot of people.
It really adds up, and they integrate seamlessly with smart assistants, making temperature control just effortless. Hey, Google, turn it down a bit. Done.
That combo of comfort and saving money is powerful. But you mentioned they learn our habits. What about privacy? And do the thermostats themselves use much power?
Both valid questions. The thermostat's own power use is tiny, minuscule compared to the energy it saves, so that's not really an issue.
Okay.
Privacy, though, is a genuine concern. They do collect data on your presence and preferences. That's how they learn.
So what do you do?
The key is choosing reputable brands with transparent privacy policies. And, crucially, you need to actively go into the app settings, review them, and control what data gets shared. Be proactive. Informed usage is your best defense.
Good advice. Be proactive. Okay, let's shift to security. Smart security systems. How have these evolved beyond just a loud siren?
It's a huge shift from reactive to proactive intelligent monitoring. Systems like Ring, Arlo, August, they provide remote monitoring.
Like watching a live feed.
Exactly. Live video, instant alerts on your phone for unexpected motion or when a package arrives. You can even remotely unlock your door for, say, a dog walker you trust.
And AI plays a role here too.
Big time. Features like facial recognition can tell the difference between family and a stranger, cutting down on those annoying false alerts from, a squirrel running past.
Yes, fewer squirrel alerts.
That's right. And these systems interconnect. A camera detecting motion might trigger your smart lights to flash, deterring potential intruders. This whole market was massive, like $50 billion in 2025. People want that peace of mind.
Makes sense.
And just a quick reminder, securing this digital network is just as vital as locking your physical doors.
Absolutely. Okay, incredible scale there. Moving from security into the house, maybe the kitchen, smart appliances. Are we talking robot chefs yet?
Not quite full robot chefs, no, but kitchens that genuinely assist you. Smart appliances are basically regular appliances with added connectivity and intelligence.
Examples?
A Samsung Family Hub fridge, for instance. It might have a touchscreen for recipes, calendars, music, and even internal cameras.
Cameras inside the fridge.
Yeah, so you can check what you need while you're at the grocery store. Smart ovens can preheat remotely while you're heading home. Smart coffee makers can brew right when your alarm goes off.
Okay, that's convenience. What about efficiency?
That too. Smart washing machines can be set to run during off-peak energy hours to save money. Dishwashers can adjust water use based on how dirty the load is. An Energy Star study back in 2024 suggested smart appliances could cut household energy use by up to 10%.
Another 10%. It adds up.
It really does. And yeah, things like robot vacuums, smart air purifiers, they're becoming pretty standard too.
So, efficiency and convenience all over the house. Let's wrap up the components with smart entertainment. How's the living room changing?
The living room often becomes a central hub, you know? Your TV, especially with add-ons like Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, acts as a smart interface.
And the goal is seamlessness.
Totally. The goal is this almost magical experience. Imagine saying, Alexa, play Oppenheimer, and boom, the lights dim, the TV turns on, the soundbar adjusts for optimal sound, all from one voice command.
Nice.
And smart speakers like Sonos or Bose offer high-fidelity, multi-room audio. Some can even analyze your room's acoustics to optimize the sound. This market was projected at $20 billion in 2025, showing how much we value that premium, effortless leisure time.
It's clear these individual pieces aren't just gadgets. They're really weaving into the fabric of our lives. So beyond the cool factor, why are smart homes so clearly the future? What's the deeper shift happening here?
You nailed it. It's about more than just convenience. It's about freeing up your cognitive load. Our lives are busy, right? Anything that saves mental energy is invaluable. Smart homes automate the routine stuff, letting you focus on work, family, or just relaxing. It's like offloading parts of your daily mental checklist.
Take things off your plate.
Exactly. And financially, environmentally, the impact is huge. Smart thermostats, lighting, appliances minimize waste. McKinsey projected a 15–20% cut in global household energy use by 2030. That saves billions and cuts carbon emissions significantly.
That double benefit for your wallet and the planet, that's incredibly powerful. What about the human side?
Yeah.
Accessibility.
This is a vital point, often overlooked. Smart homes are making a massive difference for seniors and people with disabilities.
No, so.
Voice control. It fosters independence and dignity. Imagine adjusting lights, temperature, locking doors without needing to physically move much.
That's huge for independence.
It is. And sophisticated safety features, like smart fall detection sensors. They can automatically alert family or emergency services if someone falls. This market alone was $10 billion in 2025. It's truly about empowering people to live more independently and safely in their own homes.
Using tech to genuinely improve quality of life and independence, that's profound. What about personalization? Making it your home.
Smart homes are incredibly adaptable. You can start small, single smart plug for a lamp, maybe a smart bulb. Then you scale up as your needs change or your budget allows.
So it's modular.
Exactly. It's modular. Your system grows with you. It integrates new tech rather than demanding a complete overhaul every few years. And finally, they're built with the future in mind.
How so?
With things like 5G becoming standard and AI getting more predictive, your home could genuinely start to anticipate your needs even better. Imagine homes syncing with the power grid, optimizing energy use automatically, maybe even selling excess solar power back to the utility.
Wow.
It's an investment in an adaptable, more integrated future.
A truly predictive home interacting with the grid. That really is a different world. To ground this a bit, can you share some real-world stories? How is this tech impacting lives right now in 2025?
Absolutely. Let's take Sarah, a busy mom in Chicago. Her Ring doorbell lets her see her kids get home safe from school. Smart locks give the babysitter secure, time-limited access. Her Nest thermostat manages bills, and her smart oven starts preheating on her commute home.
So it simplifies her day.
She said, quote, "It's like having an extra pair of hands." Then there's Jake, an eco-conscious guy in Seattle. He uses Philips Hue lights and Ecobee thermostat smart power strips to cut off phantom loads. He actually cut his energy use by 25%.
25%? How much is that in dollars?
About $600 a year for him. He said, "I feel like I'm doing my part without living like a caveman."
Balance.
And one more, Maria, a 70-year-old retiree in Miami. She uses voice-activated lights, Arlo cameras for security, and importantly, a smart floor sensor that alerts her daughter miles away if it detects a fall.
That's amazing peace of mind for her daughter, too.
Exactly. Maria told us, "I feel in control, not controlled by the tech." These stories really show the real impact across very different lives.
Those anecdotes really drive home the genuine benefits. But let's be realistic. No tech is perfect, right?
Yeah.
What are the common hurdles people face, and how can listeners navigate them?
It's crucial to acknowledge the challenges, definitely. First, cost. While prices are dropping, the initial investment for, say, a good smart thermostat or a full set of smart lights can still be significant, hundreds of dollars, easily.
So what's the advice?
Look at the long-term value. Factor in the energy savings, the convenience. Start small, maybe just one or two devices that solve a specific annoyance. And always, always look for deals and bundles during big sales like Black Friday or Prime Day.
Right, think return on investment and shop smart. What's another common headache?
Compatibility. This can be a big one. Devices from different brands might not speak the same language, you know? They don't always work together smoothly.
So you end up with multiple apps,
Yep.
frustration.
Exactly. The solution. Try to stick within one main ecosystem if you can, Alexa, Google Home, or Apple HomeKit. And before you buy any new device, double check that it's explicitly compatible with the system you chose. New standards like Matter are improving this, but for now, picking a team helps simplify things.
Good tip. Pick a team. And the elephant in the room for many,
Man.
privacy. All these connected devices, microphones listening, cameras watching.
A very, very valid concern. Smart devices collect data. That's often how they provide their smart features.
So how do you protect yourself?
It's paramount to choose reputable brands known for strong, transparent privacy policies. Read them. And critically, you need to actively dig into your app settings, review them regularly, limit data sharing wherever you can. Be an informed, proactive user. Don't just click accept.
So do your homework on the brand and manage your settings actively. What about the learning curve? Can it feel intimidating?
It absolutely can, especially if you're not super comfortable with tech. The best approach: start simple. Seriously simple. Smart plugs or smart bulbs are excellent entry points. They're usually easy to set up and use.
Get a quick win?
Exactly. Get comfortable with those first. Build your confidence. Then, when you're ready, gradually tackle more complex devices like thermostats or security cameras. It makes the whole learning journey much smoother, less overwhelming.
Step by step makes it more approachable.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, reliability. What happens if the Wi-Fi goes down or the power goes out? Does your smart home turn dumb?
Well, it depends. Smart homes do depend on stable Wi-Fi and power. Investing in a decent Wi-Fi router is foundational. Don't skimp there.
Okay.
For critical devices like smart locks or maybe security cameras, consider models that have battery backup, so they still function, at least basically, during a power outage. Some devices also have local processing, meaning certain automations might still work even if your internet connection drops.
Good to know there are fail-safes. So those are all practical solutions. For listeners who are ready to maybe take the plunge, how do we actually start building a smart home today? What are the steps?
Okay, let's make it actionable. 5 practical steps. First, start small. Envision big. Don't try to automate your whole house at once. Pick 1 or 2 specific problems you want to solve. Is there a lamp that's hard to reach? Smart plug. Want mood lighting? Smart bulb. Worried about package theft? Doorbell camera. Start there.
Solve a real problem first. Got it. Step 2.
Second, select your central hub. This is pretty crucial early on. Choose your smart assistant ecosystem: Amazon Echo, Alexa, Google Nest, Google Assistant, or Apple HomePod, Siri HomeKit. Ideally, pick one that aligns with the tech you already use, like your phone. This helps with compatibility down the road. This is your system's brain.
So choose your team carefully. What's step 3?
Third, plan for future expansion. Even if you're starting small now, have a rough idea of your long-term automation goals. Do you eventually want smart security, kitchen gadgets? Thinking ahead helps you build out your system logically, piece by piece, as your needs evolve or your budget allows, without hitting dead ends.
Makes sense. Think long-term.
Fourth, seek out deals and discounts. Smart home tech is definitely more affordable than it used to be, but timing your purchases can save you a lot. Watch for major sales, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Prime Day. Look for bundles or starter kits offered by manufacturers. They can be great value.
Always good advice. And the final, maybe most critical step.
Fifth, and absolutely vital, prioritize security. Just like you lock your physical doors and windows, you must secure your digital home. Use strong, unique passwords for your Wi-Fi network and for all your smart home apps and accounts.
Unique passwords for everything.
Yes. Don't reuse passwords. And enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, wherever it's offered. It adds a huge layer of protection.
Okay.
And crucially, keep your devices updated. Manufacturers release firmware and software updates regularly, often to patch security vulnerabilities. Install them promptly. Think of it as regularly checking the locks on your digital doors and windows. Don't ignore those update notifications.
Excellent analogy. Secure it like your physical home. That makes the process seem far less daunting. So as we wrap up this part on smart homes, what's next? What's on the horizon? What cool innovations should we anticipate?
Oh, the future is incredibly exciting. Expect AI-powered homes to become genuinely predictive partners, not just reactive, but proactive.
Like how?
Imagine your home subtly adjusting the lighting based on sensors detecting your mood, or suggesting recipes based on what its cameras see is actually in your fridge and about to expire.
Whoa, okay.
Then there's deeper energy integration, homes intelligently syncing with the power grid, optimizing energy use based on real-time prices or grid load, and maybe even selling your excess solar power back automatically. Your home becomes an active participant in the energy ecosystem.
That's a big shift. What about health?
Yeah, health monitoring is another profound area. Imagine smart mirrors or ambient sensors in your home, passively tracking vital signs, heart rate, breathing patterns, sleep quality, even subtle changes in your walk that could indicate a neurological issue.
Flagging problems early.
Exactly. Flagging potential issues early for proactive healthcare intervention long before you might notice symptoms yourself.
And you mentioned AR, augmented reality.
Yes. Augmented reality could totally transform how we interact with our homes. Picture lightweight AR glasses. You could control lights with a simple hand gesture, visualize how new furniture would look in your room before buying it, see energy usage data overlaid on appliances, or get interactive cooking instructions projected right onto your countertop.
Mind blown. The interface becomes the world around you.
Pretty much. It truly leaves you pondering, beyond just controlling lights or checking cameras. How might our relationship with our homes change when they become truly predictive, anticipatory partners? What does that mix of independence and deep interconnection feel like? Will our homes just become extensions of us, or will we in some ways become extensions of our homes?
That's a really profound thought to chew on. Okay, let's pause there. Next, we'll explore how technology is bringing, perhaps surprisingly, a more human touch to healthcare, shifting from our intuitive living spaces to saving lives. Okay, we've seen how technology can make our homes these intuitive partners. That naturally leads you to wonder, right? What if that same kind of intelligent assistance could extend beyond our comfort into the most critical spaces, like our hospitals, the very fabric of medical care?
Precisely, and that brings us to robotics in healthcare, which, once seemed like pure science fiction.
Right, like something out of Star Trek.
Exactly, but it's no longer just a distant vision. It's unfolding right now, and it's evolving with, frankly, breathtaking speed. It's really about making medicine more precise, more accessible,
Okay.
and perhaps paradoxically often more human by strategically freeing up the dedicated human staff to do what they do best.
So it's a journey from maybe, I don't know, cold steel to compassionate connection. How technology, counterintuitively, helps us be more human in care.
Exactly. That's the core insight here, I think. Robotics isn't just about efficiency or hitting tiny targets in surgery, although that's part of it. It's also about potentially rehumanizing care by offloading the mechanical, the repetitive,
Right.
allowing human professionals to focus purely on empathy, complex judgment, the things only humans can really bring.
To really appreciate this shift, though, we probably need to acknowledge the immense challenges facing healthcare systems globally.
Oh, absolutely. You hear about them constantly, right?
Yeah.
Global shortages of skilled doctors and nurses leading to overwork, burnout.
It's a crisis.
It is. Spiraling costs making care unaffordable for many.
Hmm.
Agonizingly long wait times for procedures or even just appointments. And all this against the backdrop of a non-negotiable need for absolute pinpoint accuracy in everything they do. The stakes just couldn't be higher.
So in this incredibly demanding environment, robots are emerging. But as you said, they aren't replacements, are they?
No, not at all. It's crucial to see them as vital, sophisticated assistants. They're designed to complement and amplify human capabilities,
Okay.
allowing our healthcare heroes, doctors, nurses, technicians, to focus on what only they can provide, that empathy, that nuanced understanding, that human connection.
Precisely. They are highly sophisticated tools, meticulously engineered to enhance both the quality and the reach of care.
Yes, letting humans focus on the uniquely human aspects of healing.
And when we talk about robots in healthcare, it's not just one monolithic thing, is it? The variety of forms and functions is kind of amazing.
Absolutely not. It's incredibly diverse. They range from these elegantly designed, multi-armed surgical systems that operate with microscopic precision.
Like the Da Vinci system.
Exactly, like Da Vinci, all the way to remarkably personable companion robots designed specifically to bring comfort and engagement to patients, especially the elderly or isolated.
So a huge range. What ties them together?
What unites them is their foundation in cutting-edge AI, advanced machine learning, sophisticated sensors. This allows them to perform this incredible spectrum of tasks, from life-saving surgery, as we said, to accurately dispensing medications day after day without error, all with unwavering reliability.
And the outcome.
The outcome is potentially transformative. Faster patient recovery times, a significant reduction in medical errors, and ultimately, a healthcare system that feels less strained and more effective for everyone involved.
That shift is pivotal because it lets doctors and nurses redirect their energy, their expertise, towards what they truly excel at, engaging with patients on that deeper, more meaningful level. offering that profound, indispensable empathy, that personal touch we all crave, especially when we're feeling vulnerable.
Exactly. It's leveraging technology to underscore, not overshadow, our shared humanity.
So let's start with maybe the most dramatic example,
Yeah.
surgical robots. Tell us about systems like the Da Vinci. What are they actually doing?
Okay, surgical robots like the Da Vinci system are often the most visible, and they demonstrate incredible capabilities. Picture this. A surgeon isn't leaning over the patient directly. They're seated comfortably at a console, maybe a few feet away.
Okay.
They're looking into a high-definition 3D viewer, seeing a magnified view inside the patient's body, and they manipulate controls that translate their hand movements with incredible fidelity to tiny robotic arms holding miniature instruments positioned over the patient.
So the robot mimics the surgeon's hands, but better.
In a way, yes. It allows for precision far beyond what the human hand alone can achieve. It filters out any natural hand tremor, and it can scale motion, meaning large, comfortable hand movements by the surgeon, translate into microscopic, precise movements inside the body.
So surgeons can perform incredibly delicate procedures with incisions sometimes smaller than a dime, with unparalleled steadiness.
Precisely, and the benefits for patients are phenomenal. Less trauma to the body, much smaller scars, substantially reduced blood loss during surgery, and often dramatically quicker recovery times.
Quicker recovery is huge. Any examples?
Yeah, for instance, robotic prostate surgery often allows patients to return to their regular activities in a matter of weeks, compared to potentially months with traditional open surgery. Clinical studies consistently show robotic surgeries can reduce hospital stays by as much as 20%.
20% shorter stays that must fundamentally shift healthcare economics, freeing up hospital beds and resources.
It really does. And it's not just patients who benefit. Surgeons get that magnified, high-definition 3D view, letting them see tiny nerves and vessels they might otherwise miss.
Better vision, better outcomes.
Exactly. Plus, the robotic arms have this incredible range of motion. They can articulate and rotate 360 degrees in ways the human wrist simply can't, allowing surgeons to navigate very challenging anatomical spaces with greater ease.
And I heard something about feeling, haptic feedback.
Yes, some advanced systems are incorporating haptic feedback. This allows the surgeon to actually feel the resistance of tissues through the robotic instruments, kind of merging that machine precision with a human's intuitive sense of touch. It's becoming more common. Places like the Cleveland Clinic are standardizing robotic approaches for certain heart surgeries now.
Incredible. And what about operating from far away? Telesurgery.
This is a really exciting frontier. Imagine a top specialist, maybe in New York or London, guiding a robotic system performing surgery hundreds or even thousands of miles away in a small rural hospital.
Wow.
It effectively teleports top-tier surgical expertise to underserved areas, bridging these critical healthcare gaps. It means your geographical location might no longer dictate your access to the absolute best surgical care.
That could be genuinely life-saving for people in remote communities.
Mhm.
But we have to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Cost. These systems sound incredibly expensive.
They are. There's no sugarcoating it. A Da Vinci robot can cost upwards of $2 million, easily. And that's just the initial purchase. There are ongoing costs for maintenance, specialized instruments, software updates, extensive training.
So it raises serious questions about equitable access, right? How do we make sure these benefits aren't just concentrated in wealthy hospitals or regions?
That's a critical question and a major challenge. We need to avoid creating a two-tiered system of care. However, the argument for broader adoption is getting stronger. The long-term savings from shorter hospital stays, fewer complications needing follow-up treatment, and reduced readmission rates, they're starting to build a compelling economic case.
So the ROI might justify it over time?
Potentially, yes, and we absolutely anticipate costs will decrease as the technology matures, competition increases, and manufacturing scales up. The hope is to make this technology much more widely accessible over time.
That's the hope. Okay, moving beyond the high-drama surgical suite, are robots playing a significant role in rehabilitation, helping people recover?
Absolutely. Rehabilitation after something like a stroke, a spinal cord injury, or even just major surgery can be incredibly arduous, long, and often frustrating for patients. Robots are stepping in to simplify and profoundly enhance this process.
How? What do they look like?
One major category is exoskeletons. Think systems like XNR or ReWalk. These are wearable robotic devices like advanced external skeletal frames that patients strap onto their limbs.
Like Iron Man, but for rehab.
Kind of. They're equipped with motors and sensors that augment or help restore limb movement. They provide controlled, repeatable support as patients essentially relearn how to stand, balance, or walk.
For someone recovering from a stroke or a spinal cord injury, being able to stand or walk with support must feel miraculous.
It truly can be. It's often the difference between being confined to a bed or wheelchair and taking those first independent steps again. We've seen powerful accounts, like a stroke survivor named John. He had limited progress with traditional therapy, but then started using an XNR exoskeleton. Within weeks, he was walking largely on his own again.
Wow.
And clinical studies consistently back this up, showing faster improvements in mobility, balance, and endurance for patients using exoskeletons compared to conventional therapy alone. Part of it is the robot's consistency and ability to provide precisely calibrated assistance or resistance.
So it's not just the physical support, but the consistent, tireless practice partner they offer. Are there other types of rehab robots besides exoskeletons?
Yes, definitely. There are specialized devices like the Locomat. This is essentially a treadmill with an integrated robotic frame that supports the patient's body weight and guides their legs through a natural walking pattern. What's remarkable is its ability to adapt in real time, adjusting the support and guidance based on the patient's individual needs and progress during the session.
And making it less boring.
Exactly. Many of these advanced rehab devices incorporate gamified interfaces. They transform what can be very repetitive and tedious therapy exercises into engaging, almost video game-like experiences. Patients might be controlling an avatar on screen by moving their limbs correctly.
That must be huge for motivation.
It's massive. It significantly boosts patient motivation and adherence, which are often major challenges in long rehabilitation programs. It gives patients clear goals, immediate feedback, and makes the hard work feel more like play. It provides objective data on progress, too.
Beyond direct patient care, like surgery and rehab, how are robots helping with the day-to-day running of busy hospitals? Streamlining operations.
Hospitals are incredibly complex, dynamic environments. Logistics support robots are making a big difference here. Take Moxie by Diligent Robotics, for example.
Moxie, does it look friendly?
It does, actually. It has a friendly digital face on its screen. Moxie is designed to take on those repetitive, time-consuming, non-clinical tasks that nurses often get bogged down with, delivering supplies between departments, collecting lab samples, distributing fresh linens.
Tasks that take nurses away from patients.
Precisely. Studies have suggested that up to 30% of a nurse's shift time can be spent on these kinds of logistical tasks, walking miles within the hospital. By automating these, robots like Moxie free up nurses to spend more time on direct patient care, assessment, and communication. This is crucial for improving patient outcomes and, frankly, combating the epidemic of nurse burnout.
30% reclaimed time is a huge gain. What about keeping things clean? I remember hearing a lot about disinfection robots during the pandemic.
Yes, disinfection specialists, robots like those from Xenex or UVD robots, became absolutely indispensable during COVID-19, and their use has continued because they're so effective.
How do they work? UV light.
Exactly. They harness powerful germicidal UVC light to rapidly and effectively eradicate pathogens, bacteria, viruses, even tough spores in hospital rooms, operating theaters, waiting areas.
More effective than manual cleaning.
They complement manual cleaning. This UVC light reaches surfaces and crevices that might be missed during manual wiping, and it works by destroying the DNA and RNA of the microbes, preventing them from replicating. A single UV robot can often disinfect a standard patient room in under 15 minutes.
That's fast and effective.
Highly effective. We're talking kill rates often exceeding 99.9%, including dangerous superbugs like MRSA. Hospitals that deployed them widely, like Houston Methodist, reported measurable declines in healthcare-associated infection rates. That significantly enhances safety for both patients and staff.
Critical for infection control. And what about ensuring patients get the right medication? That seems like an area ripe for error reduction.
Absolutely. Medication errors can have devastating consequences. This brings us to pharmacy automation robots from companies like Swisslog or Omnicell.
What do they do in the pharmacy?
These sophisticated systems automate many steps in the medication dispensing process. They can accurately receive drug shipments, store medications securely, and then precisely pick, package, and dispense patient-specific doses based on electronic prescriptions, all with barcode scanning and verification at multiple points.
Taking human error out of the loop.
Largely, yes. They dramatically reduce the risk of human error, which can unfortunately happen when pharmacy staff are rushed, dealing with high volumes, or deciphering complex medication regimens. These robots ensure the correct patient receives the appropriate dosage of the right medication at precisely the right time. They also enhance inventory management and contribute hugely to patient safety by preventing dangerous mix-ups or missed doses. They operate tirelessly, 247, with unwavering accuracy.
Okay, these robots are clearly crucial for safety, efficiency, and precision care. This has all been fascinating on the operational and clinical side, but you mentioned earlier, kind of intriguingly, that robots can make healthcare more human. Tell me more about that emotional mental connection aspect.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting and maybe unexpected. Robots are demonstrating a surprising, even profound capacity for fostering connection and providing vital mental health support, particularly in situations where human contact might be limited or challenging.
Like with Pero, the seal.
Exactly. Pero, the robotic baby harp seal, is a perfect example.
It looks incredibly cute, I have to admit.
It is designed to be. Pero has soft, hypoallergenic fur, big expressive eyes, and it responds to touch and sound with gentle wiggles, cooing sounds, and movements. It learns to repeat behaviors that elicit petting.
So who is it for?
It's engineered specifically as a therapeutic tool, primarily for patients dealing with dementia, severe anxiety, or profound loneliness, often found in nursing homes or long-term care facilities.
And does it work?
The evidence is quite compelling. Studies consistently show that interacting with para can significantly reduce stress, agitation, and anxiety in these patients. Sometimes it's even more effective than certain traditional anti-anxiety medications, and obviously without the side effects.
That's remarkable.
It really is. Staff report that residents interacting with Paro often show more genuine smiles, engage in more spontaneous conversations, sometimes talking to Paro, sometimes about it, and generally feel significantly less isolated or withdrawn. The choice of a seal, by the way, was very thoughtful. Less likely to trigger allergies or fears than, say, a robotic dog or cat, while still providing that comforting pet-like interaction.
A non-judgmental companion. That's truly remarkable. What about more sophisticated companion robots? Humanoid ones?
Another notable example is Pepper, a charming 4-foot-tall humanoid robot. Pepper is much more interactive than Pero. It can engage in fairly sophisticated conversations, recognize faces and basic human emotions using its cameras and AI, and even entertain with games, music, or stories.
Where is Pepper used?
It's been deployed in hospitals and care facilities, particularly in Japan, where there's a significant aging population and caregiver shortage. Pepper can engage patients in dialogue, guide them through simple cognitive exercises to keep their minds active, or even facilitate light physical activities, perhaps for patients with conditions like Alzheimer's. It provides a consistent, friendly presence that can help alleviate boredom, agitation, and foster social engagement, especially when staff are stretched thin.
But again, these aren't replacing human caregivers, are they? That's an important distinction.
Absolutely, critical distinction. While they offer incredibly valuable support and companionship, they are designed to augment human efforts, not replace them. They provide crucial additional support, filling gaps, especially where staff resources are limited. They free up human caregivers to focus on the more nuanced, complex, high-touch elements of care, the empathy, the deep listening, the complex problem-solving that only humans can truly provide.
Okay, augmenting, not replacing. And what about robots designed specifically for mental health therapy?
Yes, for more focused mental health therapy, specialized robots like NAO, another small humanoid, or Milo are making significant advancements. Milo, for instance, is designed specifically to work with children, particularly those on the autism spectrum, who often struggle with social communication and interaction.
How does Milo help kids with autism?
Milo has a friendly, non-threatening appearance and uses simple language. It guides children through structured exercises based on evidence-based therapies like applied behavior analysis or cognitive behavioral therapy. It might teach mindfulness techniques, help with emotional regulation skills, or focus on social skills training.
So Milo teaches social cues. That must be hard to program.
It's sophisticated. Milo uses expressive facial animations on its screen and a gentle, encouraging voice to explicitly teach social cues, like interpreting facial expressions, happy, sad, confused, or understanding different tones of voice. Crucially, it provides a safe, predictable, and non-judgmental space for children to practice these often challenging skills repeatedly without fear of negative social consequences.
And is there evidence it helps?
Yes, a compelling study published in 2023 found that children with autism who worked regularly with Milo showed significant improvements in their social interactions, communication skills, and emotional regulation compared to control groups. Part of the advantage seems to be the robot's inherent nature. Unparalleled patience, it never gets frustrated or tired. Absolute consistency, it delivers the lessons the same way every time. and the ability to repeat tasks indefinitely, allowing children to learn and practice at their own pace, building confidence gradually. It creates a unique, less intimidating learning environment for some kids.
That consistency and lack of judgment must be huge for kids who might feel shy or easily overwhelmed in human interactions. Okay, one more area. Connecting doctors and patients who are physically far apart.
That brings us to telerescence robots. You can think of these as essentially sophisticated mobile communication devices, often a high-definition screen, cameras, microphones, and speakers, mounted on a remotely controllable wheeled base. It's like an advanced Zoom call on wheels.
So the doctor can drive around the patient's room.
Exactly. They allow doctors to remotely visit patients in the hospital or even at home. They can conduct real-time consultations, visually examine the patient using the robot's cameras. Some even have zoom or specialized scopes, and interact naturally.
Where is this most valuable?
It's invaluable in rural or underserved areas lacking specialists. A neurologist in a major city can use a telerescence robot to examine a stroke patient in a remote community hospital minutes after arrival.
That saves critical time.
Absolutely life-saving time. During the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, they were also indispensable for monitoring infectious patients in isolation rooms without requiring healthcare workers to repeatedly don and doff PPE, minimizing exposure risk. For example, that hospital system in rural Montana we mentioned uses telerescence robots to connect stroke patients with neurologists hundreds of miles away, dramatically accelerating diagnosis and treatment decisions, preserving brain function, and saving lives. Despite the physical distance, users report the interaction feels remarkably personal and reassuring. The doctor feels truly present.
Okay, we've covered so much incredible stuff happening now. Looking ahead, what are some of the truly profound innovations on the horizon for robotics in healthcare? Where's this heading?
The future potential is just staggering. First, let's talk nanorobotics. Imagine machines smaller than a grain of sand, potentially injectable, navigating your bloodstream.
Seriously? Like Fantastic Voyage?
Kind of. These tiny bots could be designed to deliver drugs with pinpoint precision, targeting cancer cells directly while leaving healthy cells unharmed, or delivering gene therapies right to the cells that need them. Researchers at places like MIT and Stanford are actively experimenting with prototypes for targeted drug delivery and even microscopic diagnostics from inside the body.
That's mind-blowing. What about making current robots even smarter with AI?
Definitely. The pervasive integration of even more advanced AI will elevate robotics to unprecedented levels of capability and autonomy. Future surgical robots, for instance, could leverage AI that has analyzed millions of past procedures.
To do what? Suggest things.
Exactly. They suggest optimal surgical approaches tailored to an individual patient's anatomy, or even offer real-time guidance and warnings to the human surgeon during complex operations based on analyzing the live feed. Companion robots could develop a much more nuanced comprehension of human emotions and intentions, adapting their interactions to match individual personalities, moods, and needs far more effectively.
And you mentioned soft robotics earlier. What's the advantage there?
Yes, the exciting emergence of soft robotics is a big deal for healthcare. Unlike rigid industrial robots, these machines are made of flexible, compliant materials, often inspired by biological creatures like octopuses or jellyfish.
Why is that better?
This softness makes them inherently safer for interacting directly with humans and incredibly versatile for handling delicate biological tissues without causing accidental damage. Imagine soft robotic grippers for surgery, or flexible endoscopic robots that can navigate the complex, confined spaces of the human body more gently and effectively.
Safer interaction, more dexterity. And could robots help predict health problems before they become emergencies?
Absolutely. This is the profound potential of proactive predictive healthcare, enabled by robotics and AI. Picture discrete sensors, perhaps integrated into a wearable robot like a smart garment, or ambiently placed in a patient's room or home, continuously monitoring vital signs, heart rate, respiration, temperature, sleep patterns, activity levels.
Collecting data constantly.
Right. Advanced AI algorithms would then analyze these continuous data streams, looking for subtle patterns or deviations that are early warning signs of serious health events, an impending heart attack, the early onset of sepsis, a dangerous drop in blood sugar for a diabetic patient.
Catching things super early.
Precisely. This could allow for timely, proactive interventions, alerting the patient, caregivers, or medical professionals, potentially saving countless lives and preventing severe complications. It's a shift from reactive treatment to predictive maintenance of wellness. Major medtech companies like Intuitive Surgical and Medtronic are already actively integrating these kinds of predictive analytic features into their platforms.
This all sounds absolutely incredible, revolutionary. But it's crucial, as always, to inject a reality check. What are the significant hurdles, the challenges we need to overcome, despite this immense potential?
You're absolutely right to ask. It's not all smooth sailing. First, and maybe most obviously, cost. The substantial upfront investment for sophisticated systems like surgical robots, millions of dollars, plus ongoing maintenance and operational costs, raises those critical questions about equitable access we touched on earlier. How do we ensure these benefits reach everyone in every community, not just the most well-funded institutions? Preventing a two-tiered system is a major policy challenge.
Beyond cost, what about security? These are connected devices dealing with sensitive health data.
Cybersecurity is an absolutely critical concern as these robots become increasingly networked, integrated into hospital IT systems, and even remotely controlled. Their vulnerability to cyber attacks becomes a serious threat.
What kind of threats?
Imagine hacking a surgical robot mid-procedure, tampering with automated pharmacy systems to dispense incorrect doses, or breaching patient data collected by monitoring robots. The consequences could be catastrophic. Hospitals and manufacturers must invest in incredibly robust, multi-layered cybersecurity systems and maintain constant vigilance.
That's terrifying. And what about the ethical considerations? Who is ultimately responsible if something goes wrong?
Ethical considerations are front and center, and they get more complex as AI capabilities grow. Currently, robots are primarily tools controlled by humans. They assist decisions. They don't generally make life or death ones autonomously in critical situations. But as AI advances, that boundary could potentially blur.
Should robots make those calls?
That raises profound questions. Who is responsible when an AI-assisted robot makes a mistake? Should robots ever be given autonomous decision-making power in critical care? How do we ensure algorithms are free from bias? These require careful societal debate, clear ethical guidelines, and maintaining robust human oversight. Especially as the technology becomes more sophisticated, we must steer this development with wisdom.
Deep questions. And the classic concern, job displacement. Will robots take jobs from nurses and doctors?
That's a valid, understandable concern. Job displacement.
Well,
While robots primarily assist and complement human workers, taking over repetitive or physically demanding tasks, it's true that some specific job roles might evolve or be automated over time. However, the consensus among most experts is that robots will likely augment the healthcare workforce rather than replace it wholesale.
creating new jobs too.
Yes, concurrently creating entirely new job categories: robotic system technicians, AI specialists in healthcare, clinical data analysts focusing on robot-generated data, ethicists specializing in medical AI. The key will be thoughtful investment in workforce retraining and upskilling programs to help healthcare professionals adapt and thrive alongside these new technologies. It's a transition to manage smoothly.
And finally, what about the patients themselves? Do patients actually want robots involved in their intimate care? Patient acceptance.
Patient acceptance is absolutely vital. The most advanced robot is useless if patients are uncomfortable or distrustful. Some people may naturally feel uneasy, especially with robots performing personal care tasks or procedures. Building trust is paramount.
How do you build that trust?
It requires meticulous design. Robots need to appear approachable, non-intimidating, perhaps even convey a sense of warmth or reassurance depending on their role, like Moxie or Pero. Clear communication about what the robot does and how it helps is essential. Ensuring the technology serves human comfort and dignity, not causes anxiety or alienation, is a huge design and implementation challenge. We need to prioritize the human experience. So it really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? How do you envision your own interaction with these robotic helpers in a future healthcare setting? Maybe during a checkup, a surgery, or even just receiving medication. It's worth reflecting on that delicate, potentially powerful balance between cutting-edge technology and the absolutely irreplaceable human touch in medical care. Where does that line get drawn for you?
That's truly food for thought. A very personal question for everyone. I'll say now, let's shift gears again and venture into a domain that promises to reshape not just specific industries, but the very foundations of computation itself. Moving beyond our physical limits into entirely new realms of possibility with quantum computing. All right, get ready, because we're about to plunge into one of the most astonishing, potentially world-altering technologies on the horizon. Quantum computing. And this isn't just about building faster computers in the way we normally think about it.
No, not all.
It's about fundamentally redefining what's possible for computation. Tackling problems that would take today's most powerful supercomputers literally billions of years, incomprehensible amounts of time, and potentially solving them in mere moments.
It truly sounds like something ripped from science fiction, doesn't it? But the fascinating thing is, this isn't just theoretical physics in a lab anymore. It's rapidly becoming a tangible reality.
Right.
And it has incredibly broad implications across so many critical domains. Developing new medicines, creating unhackable communication, finding solutions for climate change, supercharging AI, ensuring financial stability, even revolutionizing entertainment down the line. Its reach is potentially vast.
Exactly. So our objective in this segment is to really explore the essence of how quantum computing works, why it's such a monumental leap from the computers we use every day, and then unpack the myriad ways it's poised to transform our world in, frankly, mind-blowing ways.
Okay.
We're here to help you grasp the core of this revolution, hopefully without getting too bogged down in the super complex quantum physics. We want to focus on why this is truly different.
Just try and make sense of it. It's a big topic.
It is. So let's start with quantum computing 101. How does it fundamentally differ from the classical computers, our laptops, phones, even supercomputers that we all rely on?
Okay, the absolute basics. Our classical computers, everything digital we use now, operate using bits. Binary digits?
Zeros and ones.
Exactly. On or off, 0 or 1, that's the foundation for all classical computation. Quantum computers, however, use something different. Qubits, or quantum bits.
Oh, that's...
And these qubits possess unique quantum mechanical properties, sometimes called quantum superpowers, that allow them to process information in fundamentally new ways.
All right, give us the first superpower. What sets qubits apart right away?
The first key concept is superposition. Unlike a classical bit that must be definitively either a 0 or a 1 at any given time.
Right, on or off.
A qubit can exist in a state of being 0 or 1, or crucially, both simultaneously. Think of it like a spinning coin. While it's spinning in the air, before it lands, it's neither heads nor tails, it's in a superposition, a probabilistic combination of both possibilities at once.
Okay, so it can represent more states than just on or off. How does that help?
This ability allows a quantum computer to explore a massive number of possibilities concurrently. Instead of a classical computer checking options one by one, sequentially, a quantum computer with multiple qubits in superposition can essentially evaluate countless potential paths or solutions all at the same time. This provides an exponential boost in processing power for certain types of complex problems.
That's the key insight, isn't it? It explores the entire problem space, or large parts of it, exponentially faster. Okay, what's the next quantum superpower? This sounds wild already.
The next one is perhaps even stranger, but incredibly powerful. Entanglement.
Entanglement, I've heard of this. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance.
He did, and it is spooky. Qubits can become linked or entangled in such a profound way that they behave as a single unified quantum system, no matter how far apart they are physically separated.
So they're connected instantly across space.
In essence, yes. If you measure the state of one entangled qubit, say you find it's a 0, you instantly know the state of its entangled partner. It might be forced into a 1, for example, even if that partner is miles away. This isn't communication faster than light, but it's a deep correlation. For computing, entanglement allows for incredibly complex, interconnected calculations and powerful forms of parallel processing that classical computers simply cannot replicate. It weaves the possibilities together.
Mind officially boggled. Okay, superposition, entanglement. You mentioned one more key, quantum effect.
Yes, quantum tunneling. This is another non-intuitive quantum phenomenon. Think about trying to find the absolute lowest valley in a huge, complex mountain range. A classical computer would have to laboriously climb up and down every single hill and dale to find the lowest point.
Checking every possibility.
Right. A quantum system, however, thanks to tunneling, sometimes has the ability to find shortcuts through these energy barriers. It can effectively tunnel through a hill rather than climbing over it, allowing it to find optimal solutions to complex optimization problems much, much faster than classical methods might.
So, putting it together, superposition lets it explore many options at once. Entanglement links these options in complex, correlated ways, and tunneling helps find shortcuts to the best answer.
That's a great way to summarize it. It's not just about being faster in the classical sense. It's a completely different way of processing information, leveraging the strange rules of quantum mechanics itself.
Precisely. These unique properties give quantum computers their exceptional power for specific kinds of problems. Simulation, optimization, factoring, making them capable of tackling challenges that are currently intractable, maybe even theoretically impossible, for even the biggest classical supercomputers we have today or can imagine building. It's a true paradigm shift in computation.
It really is.
Okay, so this isn't just some fascinating lab curiosity for physicists. How will quantum computing concretely reshape our world? Let's start with perhaps the most hoped-for application, medicine and drug discovery.
This is arguably one of the most exciting and potentially impactful areas in the new term. Developing new drugs and materials is currently a painstaking, incredibly slow, and massively expensive process. Often takes a decade or more, billions of dollars.
Why so slow?
A major reason is the immense complexity of accurately simulating how molecules interact at the quantum level. How does a potential drug molecule actually bind to a specific protein associated with a disease like a cancer cell receptor? Classical computers, even supercomputers, really struggle to model these intricate quantum interactions with the necessary precision. They have to use approximations.
But quantum computers speak that language natively.
Exactly. Because quantum computers are built using quantum phenomena themselves, they are naturally suited for simulating other quantum systems, like molecules. They can model molecular interactions, bond formations, energy levels, reaction dynamics with unprecedented accuracy.
So scientists could virtually test thousands, maybe millions, of potential drug candidates, understanding exactly how they'd behave at a molecular level before even synthesizing them in a lab.
Precisely. This could dramatically accelerate the drug discovery pipeline, potentially slashing years off the development timeline for new medicines. Imagine designing highly targeted cancer drugs with fewer side effects, rapidly developing new vaccines or antivirals during a pandemic, or even enabling truly personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine, how?
By running simulations tailored to an individual's specific body chemistry or genetic makeup, predicting how they personally will respond to different treatment options. Major players in tech like IBM and Google and quantum startups are already collaborating closely with pharmaceutical giants like Merck and Pfizer to explore these possibilities right now. It could revolutionize how we find cures.
That's genuinely incredible potential. Okay, next huge area, transforming cybersecurity. You mentioned earlier this sounds like a bit of a double-edged sword.
It absolutely is. A huge double-edged sword. On one hand, quantum computing poses a significant threat to our current cybersecurity infrastructure.
How so?
Much of the encryption that protects our sensitive digital information today, online banking, secure websites, HTTPS, confidential government communications, relies on mathematical problems that are incredibly hard for classical computers to solve. Specifically, factoring extremely large numbers into their prime components. Algorithms like RSA and ECC depend on this difficulty.
Okay, hard for current computers.
But back in the 90s, a mathematician named Peter Shor developed a quantum algorithm, Shor's algorithm, that could, theoretically, factor these large numbers exponentially faster on a sufficiently large and stable quantum computer. We're talking potentially minutes or hours instead of millennia.
So a powerful enough quantum computer could potentially break most of the encryption we rely on today. That sounds bad.
It does sound bad, and it's a serious threat that cryptographers and governments worldwide are taking very seriously. It could render much of our current digital security obsolete overnight. But here's the other edge of the sword.
The defense.
Thankfully, quantum mechanics also offers new, potentially much stronger forms of security. One approach is quantum key distribution, QKD. This uses the principles of quantum physics, like superposition and the active measurement disturbing a quantum state, to allow two parties to generate and share a cryptographic key with the guarantee that any attempt by an eavesdropper to intercept the key would inevitably disturb it, alerting the legitimate users. It offers theoretically provable security based on the laws of physics.
So quantum helps create unbreakable codes.
Or at least codes where tampering is instantly detectable. The other major effort, which is perhaps more practical for widespread deployment soon, is post-quantum cryptography, PQC.
What's that?
PQC involves developing entirely new classical encryption algorithms that are based on different types of mathematical problems believed to be hard for both classical and quantum computers to solve. Problems not vulnerable to Shor's algorithm. The U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, has been running a major international competition to identify and standardize these new PQC algorithms.
When will these new algorithms be used?
Deployment is expected to begin in the coming years, maybe becoming widespread around 2030. It's a massive undertaking, upgrading global IT infrastructure. So yes, quantum computing is forcing a huge, urgent upgrade to our digital security, but it's also providing the tools for potentially unprecedented levels of security for the future, both threat and solution.
Okay, that's somewhat reassuring. A massive upgrade is needed. How can quantum computers help us tackle something as vast and complex as climate change?
Climate change presents exactly the kind of fiendishly complex simulation and optimization problems that classical computers struggle with, but quantum computers might excel at.
Like what specifically?
Think about designing better batteries for electric vehicles and grid storage. Quantum simulation could allow chemists to model entirely new battery chemistries at the atomic level, searching for materials that offer higher energy density, faster charging, longer lifespan, and use more sustainable, ethically sourced components. This could make EVs cheaper, more practical, and greener.
Better batteries are key. What else?
Optimizing energy grids. As we add more intermittent renewable sources like wind and solar, managing the grid efficiently becomes incredibly complex. Quantum optimization algorithms could potentially find the best ways to route power, integrate renewables seamlessly, minimize energy loss, and ensure stable power delivery across vast networks.
Okay, materials and grid optimization. Carbon capture.
Yes, potentially accelerating the discovery and design of more efficient catalysts for carbon capture and conversion materials that can grab CO2 from the atmosphere or industrial sources and chemically convert it into useful products like fuels or building materials. Or finding more efficient, less energy-intensive pathways for producing essential things like fertilizer. The Haber-Bosch process currently uses a huge amount of global energy. Quantum chemistry simulations could unlock breakthroughs here. Energy companies, both traditional and renewable, are actively exploring these possibilities.
So it's really about understanding and manipulating matter and energy at the quantum level to find solutions for these massive environmental challenges. What about supercharging artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning?
This is another area with huge potential synergy. Training the most powerful AI models today, like large language models, demands enormous amounts of computing power and time, weeks, or even months on massive clusters of classical processors.
Right, the training is computationally intense.
Many core AI algorithms are fundamentally about optimization, finding the best parameters for a model or pattern recognition in massive data sets. These happen to be areas where quantum computers are expected to offer significant speedups.
So quantum could train AI faster.
Potentially vastly faster. Quantum machine learning algorithms could, in theory, smash through some of these training bottlenecks, possibly reducing training times from weeks to hours for certain types of models. This could lead to AI that's more accurate, more efficient, and capable of tackling even more complex problems like predicting natural disasters with greater precision, discovering complex correlations in medical data, or truly personalizing educational pathways for individual students.
Could it lead to fundamentally new types of AI?
That's the really exciting prospect. Active research by companies like Microsoft, Google, and quantum startups like Xanadu is exploring concepts like quantum neural networks. These might leverage quantum phenomena like superposition and entanglement directly within the AI model itself, potentially leading to AI with fundamentally new capabilities that we can't even fully conceive of yet with classical approaches. It's both exciting and, frankly, a little bit unnerving to consider.
Exciting and unnerving, yes. You've mentioned optimization quite a few times, finding the best solution. How broadly can quantum optimization impact the world around us?
This is one of quantum computing's potentially most broadly applicable strengths. Finding the absolute optimal solution from among a mind-boggling number of possibilities, billions, trillions, or even more. Problems where finding the perfect answer, not just a good enough one, offers huge value.
Logistics.
Exactly. Logistics is a classic example. Companies like Amazon, FedEx, or UPS deal with routing millions of packages through complex networks every day. Quantum optimization algorithms could potentially crunch all the variables, delivery locations, traffic patterns, vehicle capacity, time windows to find truly optimal delivery routes in seconds. This translates to faster deliveries, huge fuel savings, lower emissions, and reduced operational costs.
Makes sense. What about city traffic?
Similar idea. Imagine using quantum computing to optimize traffic flow across an entire city in real time, synchronizing traffic lights dynamically, adjusting recommended routes for drivers based on current conditions, predicting congestion before it happens. This could significantly reduce travel times, cut down on frustrating gridlock, and lower air pollution in urban centers. Volkswagen actually piloted a quantum routing project for taxis in Beijing, showing promising results in reducing travel times.
In finance, always looking for an edge there.
Finance is definitely investing heavily. Quantum algorithms could potentially optimize complex investment portfolios to maximize returns while minimizing risk. manage financial risk across vast interconnected markets more effectively, or detect subtle patterns indicative of fraud far faster and more accurately than classical systems. Techniques like quantum Monte Carlo simulations could revolutionize how financial markets are modeled and predicted. It's about moving from good enough heuristic solutions to finding truly optimal strategies in incredibly complex, high-stakes systems.
Optimizing almost everything. What about the really big picture?
Yeah.
Unlocking the fundamental secrets of the universe itself.
This is perhaps the most ambitious long-term goal, but a deeply compelling one for scientists. Quantum computers, remember, operate using the same weird quantum mechanical rules that govern atoms, molecules, and fundamental particles. This makes them perfectly suited, in principle, to simulate these quantum systems with incredible accuracy, something classical computers fundamentally struggle with.
So they could model things classical computers can't.
Exactly. This could lead to profound breakthroughs in fundamental physics, allowing scientists to accurately simulate the behavior of matter inside neutron stars, model the conditions immediately after the Big Bang with greater fidelity, or test fundamental theories like string theory in ways previously impossible.
And in chemistry and material science.
Immense potential there, too. Designing entirely new materials from the atom up, predicting their properties before they're ever made. Imagine designing catalysts that make industrial processes vastly more efficient, creating new types of semiconductors for next-generation electronics, developing stronger, lighter materials for aerospace, or even achieving the long-sought holy grail of room temperature superconductors.
Room temperature superconductors would change everything.
It would revolutionize power grids, transportation, medical imaging. Quantum simulation is seen as a key tool to potentially unlock these kinds of material science breakthroughs. It's like giving physicists and chemists a powerful new kind of virtual experimental laboratory to probe the universe's deepest secrets and build the future from the quantum level up.
Wow. Okay, let's bring it back down to Earth slightly. For listeners hearing all this incredible potential, what's the actual timeline? When will quantum computing start having a noticeable impact? And how can we, as individuals, prepare for this quantum future?
Good questions. It's important to manage expectations. Right now, in the mid-2020s, we're still firmly in what's called the NISQ era.
NISQ, what's that stand for?
Noisy intermediate scale quantum. It means the quantum computers we have today typically have between 50 to maybe a few hundred qubits. And crucially, these qubits are still quite noisy, prone to errors caused by environmental interference, like heat or vibrations. They aren't yet powerful or stable enough to definitively outperform classical computers on practical real-world problems. We're seeing promising experiments, but not yet widespread quantum advantage.
Okay, so we're still in the early days. What's the next milestone?
The general consensus among experts is that within the next 5 to 10 years, so perhaps somewhere around 2030, give or take, we might start seeing the first clear, unambiguous examples of quantum advantage. That means quantum computers solving commercially or scientifically valuable problems significantly faster or more accurately than the very best classical supercomputers could. Maybe in areas like material science simulation or specific optimization tasks first.
So practical impact starting within a decade, maybe, and beyond that.
Looking further out, say by 2040, quantum computers might become more like today's classical supercomputers, highly specialized, expensive machines housed in dedicated centers, but integrated into the research and development workflows of key industries like pharmaceuticals, chemicals, finance, and aerospace, powering specific breakthroughs.
And by 2050, will we all have quantum laptops?
Probably not quantum laptops. They'll likely remain large, complex machines requiring specialized infrastructure, like those extreme cooling systems. But by 2050, their influence could be quite pervasive, even if invisible to most people. The drugs you take, the materials in your car or phone, the efficiency of the power grid, the security of your data, all these might be shaped or enabled by quantum computations running behind the scenes, likely accessed via the cloud.
So it becomes a powerful background tool. What's driving this progress?
Massive global investment. Governments worldwide, US, China, EU, UK, Canada, and others are pouring billions into quantum research and development. Venture capital funding for quantum startups is also exploding. There's a real sense of a global race, driving rapid innovation on multiple fronts, hardware, software, algorithms.
Okay, so the overall trend and commitment seem undeniable. Given this trajectory, how can we as listeners get ready for this quantum future? Do we all need PhDs in physics?
Definitely not. You don't need to become a quantum physicist overnight. But the first step is simply to cultivate curiosity. Stay informed. Read accessible books or articles, watch documentaries, Follow reliable science news sources that explain quantum concepts clearly. Understand the potential impact even if you don't grasp all the underlying math.
Be aware, stay curious. What else?
For those interested, explore online resources and learning platforms. Companies like IBM with Qiskit and Microsoft with their Quantum Development Kit offer free online tools and tutorials that let you actually tinker with writing and running simple quantum programs on simulators or even real quantum computers via the cloud. It's surprisingly accessible to get a basic feel for it.
So you can actually try it out.
You can. And importantly, consider the emerging career paths. This quantum revolution won't just need quantum physicists. It will require quantum software engineers, algorithm developers, hardware engineers, but also data scientists who know how to apply quantum methods, cybersecurity experts specializing in PQC, user interface designers for quantum tools, ethicists, communicators, educators. The ecosystem will be broad. Think about how your existing skills might apply or consider reskilling opportunities. Universities are rapidly expanding quantum programs at all levels.
So lots of related jobs will emerge. Anything else?
Finally, support the endeavor responsibly. Advocate for continued public funding for fundamental research. Engage in conversations about the ethical implications. Be part of shaping how this powerful technology is developed and deployed. Be an informed citizen in the quantum era.
Be curious. Explore resources, think about skills, and support responsible progress.
Got it. Before we wrap up this section, you touched on ethics, but this much power, this much potential to reshape industries, break codes, potentially create massive wealth. It inevitably raises critical ethical questions, doesn't it? Absolutely. Like any truly transformative technology, think AI, genetic engineering, quantum computing, isn't just about the science and engineering. It demands we grapple with its profound societal and ethical implications now, not after the fact.
What are some of the biggest ethical concerns?
We already discussed the major one. Privacy and security. If current encryption breaks before quantum-safe alternatives are fully deployed, how do we protect personal data, financial information, critical infrastructure, even potentially free speech and democratic processes globally? This requires not just developing the new tech, PQC, QKD, but also careful planning, international coordination, and policies governing how quantum code-breaking capabilities are used, especially by nation-states.
A global challenge. What else?
Fairness and equity. There's a real risk of a quantum divide. If only a handful of wealthy countries or large corporations have access to powerful quantum computers, this could dramatically exacerbate existing inequalities, concentrating economic and geopolitical power. How do we ensure the immense benefits of quantum computing, new medicines, climate solutions, are shared broadly and equitably across the globe, not just by the technologically advanced? Democratizing access, perhaps through cloud platforms, is crucial, but policy matters too.
The access issue is huge. Any other major concerns?
We also need to consider the environmental cost. Building and operating current quantum computers, especially those requiring extreme cryogenic cooling systems, consumes a significant amount of energy. As the technology scales, we need ongoing research into more energy-efficient quantum architectures and operational practices to ensure the benefits don't come at an unsustainable environmental price.
These are definitely not easy questions with simple answers.
Not at all. They are complex, multifaceted challenges that require careful thought, open public discussion, and proactive global collaboration. Organizations like the World Economic Forum are already facilitating these important dialogues between researchers, industry leaders, policymakers, and ethicists. Governments are starting to develop guidelines for responsible quantum development and use. The key is to anticipate these issues now, to embed ethical considerations into the research and development process, and to steer the deployment of this incredibly powerful technology with wisdom, foresight, and a commitment to ensuring it ultimately benefits all of humanity.
This has been truly fascinating and honestly a bit mind-bending. Quantum computing really does feel like, I don't know, maybe the dawn of the internet back in the 80s or early 90s. You knew something huge was happening, something fundamental was shifting, even if you couldn't predict exactly how it would all unfold.
That's a great analogy.
From potentially curing diseases and helping heal the planet, to fundamentally reshaping our digital security, and maybe even probing the universe's deepest origins. It's poised to redefine what's possible in ways we're only just beginning to sketch out. It feels like a fundamental leap into a new era of computation. We've journeyed through some incredible transformations today, from our homes becoming these intuitive, helpful partners, to robots bringing surprising new levels of precision and human connection to healthcare, and finally, to the very fabric of computing changing in ways that could redefine the limits of what's possible. These aren't just incremental upgrades, they feel like fundamental leaps.
They really do. And I think the core idea weaving through all of them, whether it's a smart thermostat, a surgical robot, or Quibbit, is that these technologies are ultimately tools. Tools designed at their best to amplify our human capabilities, our intelligence, our creativity, maybe even our compassion, not to diminish them. The challenges are real, absolutely. We've discussed those. But the potential for positive transformation is just boundless if we guide them wisely.
Beautifully put. So that leads to our final provocative thought for you, our listeners. As we've journeyed through these incredible interconnected transformations today, from our homes learning our habits to robots assisting in our care and quantum computers unlocking new realities, consider this. What single ethical challenge arising from the convergence of these revolutions do you believe humanity must prioritize solving first? Which hurdle is the most critical to overcome to ensure this increasingly intelligent, automated, and computationally powerful future truly benefits all of us? Something to really mull over. We encourage you to engage with these ideas, discuss them, and share your own perspectives. And of course, if you found this deep dive valuable, please remember to like this video, share it with others who might be interested, and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the technologies and ideas shaping our future. Thanks so much for joining us on this